All right. Well, welcome to SK Hobbies AZ, and I'm doing live. Not quite sure if there's anybody in the stream yet. But anyways, I was going to do a video on my SCX24's. And so I decided I was going to do this one, my first one, on a live and just get it knocked out. And then I have two other ones that I'm going to probably do in a actual video and post later, which I might actually premiere that one. But let me see if there is anybody else in the chat. Oh, I see Nitro Freaks on. Well, I appreciate you stopping by and saying hi, sir. Hey Nitro, I decided I was gonna do this later on this evening, but I see that we got Pokerossi on here in about an hour and a half, so I figured I could probably knock out this live real quick, and then I'm going to jump into Pokerossi's live. But yep, I am doing good today. Just got done with everything I got to get done with work, and I rearranged my studio a little bit, made a little bit more room, so I had some table space and get a little bit better lighting over the top of me. Hopefully you can hear me. How's my mic doing? All right. Yeah, you just do what you need to do, Nitro, and get your renting done. I'm going to talk a little bit about this SCX24. See if I can get some footage out there. All right, yeah. I don't know why my camera just moved down on me, didn't it? Let's see. I'm on camera now. It's got moved on. Looks like my my video is a little fuzzy. Oh well, we'll just roll with it this way. Hopefully it clears up. I was just looking at actually what is on YouTube itself, and it looks pretty fuzzy. Maybe it's just my internet. I don't know. But through StreamYard, it looks good. So hopefully it'll clear up. All right. So I have done quite of a variety of SCX24s, and I can bring some of them out here so you guys can see. Some of them are a little bit on the dirty side. And all right, so I've done everything from like a little scythe build. And this is completely, almost everything in here is Furatech except for the axles, which are from CCXRC. And they're all running Furatech's. This is the very large Furatech motor, and this is pretty much a almost all aluminum base. And so I've built this style. These are some of the ones that I've painted. This one's another complete Furatech build with the same motor in it. It is all aluminum, high clearance links for some good crawling. And then I ventured into another company called Mofo RC that makes another style of chassis. And this chassis here is what he calls his AF chassis, which I'm sure everybody understands what the AF stands for. So they do this. So all of these were done with Lexan bodies, and I wanted to try to figure out how to make a hard body. My 3D printer kind of died on me, and I rehomed that to a guy that works for me. And so he's got that now. And while I was in between 3D printers, I still wanted to try to do a hard body. And so I ventured into looking at models. I've seen some people in the past have used models and mounted them on their SCX24s and actually did what they call a scale build. So they make it look like your little Matchbox car in 24 scale and actually crawls around. I wasn't really interested in doing that. I still want performance, and I want this to be able to perform on my rocks in my backyard and also my indoor crawler course I built. I am going to be doing a run video of this guy once this live is done. This weekend, I'll probably get up early in the morning when it's a little bit cooler and go outside and do a run video on it. But underneath this is basically a Furatech scythe chassis. Now, this is their chassis rails. Now, the actual scythe chassis has the cage on top of it that makes it look like this. This doesn't have it, so you're able to put your own body on it. And then, of course, I'm running the Furatech Ultimate Lizard ESC, which makes this thing into a brushless system. And then I am running their brushless motor, and it comes, when you buy it, it comes with the transmission housing, and so the transmission's just completely swapped out. I'm also running a Reese 99 micro servo up front, so it's super durable, super quick, very, runs really good. I am running CCXRC's brass axles, which, Endura makes them. RC four-wheel drive makes some brass axles that you can get. Hobby Park makes brass axles for them. So I just happen to, do a lot of watching of CCXRC and what he's done with these mini crawlers, and he had his own line. So I went ahead and picked up his brass axles that he has. All of the weight on it, it is a fairly heavy rig because I want to have this perform on the rocks. I am running a brass diff housing in the front and rear. Both of these are CCXRC's diff housings. The links for this are high clearance links. They're aluminum. They're not the brass ones, but they're aluminum ones by Endura. And then I've got these little weight bars that are right here on the side that you can see. So these bars right here mount on there, and that adds about, I think it's 6 ounces on each side of brass to get some weight down low to keep this thing from, basically being able to climb, really high at a steep angle. The shocks are Endura shocks, so they're not really that expensive. Now, the rims on these, the rims are trail rims, so they are trail aluminum rims. There's no brass in this. They're just aluminum, so all the weight's down low. The knuckles are brass right here. They're a brass knuckle, and then I have the +5 millimeter. Correction, those are the +7 millimeter extensions, and they're weighted, and they're brass weighted extensions. So it widens the wheelbase a little bit on the front. Now on the rear, all I have is the +7 extensions on the rear, just so it gets, the same width on either side. I am running an Endura aluminum chassis plate or skid plate, so I have that underneath. Drive shafts are the brass drive shafts that Endura makes. Correction, these ones are the Trio, not the Endura. So Trio, pretty much the same thing. I didn't really see a big difference between running the Trio, the Endura, or even the Hobby Park ones that are made. So I got those installed in there. I am running 23% overdrive in the front, so the front tires are turning a little bit slower, so you're getting that extra, I guess, ability for climbing. It helps a lot. So after that, then I've got tires. So These tires are the new ones that came out by Little Guy Racing, and these are from their Swamp King line. Now, I like the Swamp Kings. These are the regular tires. They are a little dirty because I haven't cleaned this one up yet. This is my wife's rig, and she likes to play with it. So these are the full-size tires that they came in. So then they came out with some smaller ones, and I believe these are 54 millimeter diameter tires. So they're a little bit smaller. They're made for more of a scale build. And being that I'm not doing really a scale build on any of mine, I decided I wanted to put them onto this rig because I'm doing a hard buy. So now that we've got that talked about, and before we start talking about all of this mounting that I've done here, let's talk about this body. So this is, if I bring this over here, so it's a Revell model that I picked up. So I picked up this Revell. It's a 1965 Chevy step-side pickup. It's a 2-in-1. You know, I mean, it comes with everything to build this model up, but we did not use everything in here, and we had to do a little bit of adjustments on ourselves to make it mount. So in order to make this, you know, one piece, the way this mounts on in the model is, you know, the front mounts the cab mounts to the chassis, and then you have the bed that mounts right behind it. To achieve the wheelbase and get what we needed, I needed to put these two together, and if you actually just glue them together, it is a little bit shorter of a wheelbase. So what I used was the styrene. So I used some styrene, which I have some right here. So styrene sheet. Now this is the 060 styrene, and I basically bought a pack of this, and came in, you know, big, I think they're 10 by 10 squares, and, you know, it's flexible, and it's really good to work with. And actually that's where I used this styrene on everything I needed to make these mounts. And when I made these mounts, so I took one sheet, and I cut it off to the width of the inside of the back of the bed, and I cut it off and glued it to the bed itself, and tried to fit that in place. And then I was looking at it, and it just wasn't enough, so I ended up putting a second layer and basically just cut another chunk the same, glued those two together, stuck them in there, and got the bed attached to the cab, and that's what it is. And then from there on out, it's kind of just building it. And before you paint it, basically I was just masking it off with just painter's tape, and masked off the areas that I wanted for the bed, because I wanted to do the bed differently, and we'll talk about what I did to the bed. Now, the bumpers, the front bumper, it actually, per the model, just glued onto the front. The rear, not so much. The rear was actually supposed to glue on to the back of the chassis. And all I did was add a little piece of styrene right here and glued that across where the chassis rails came through for the bumper, and glued that across and put another flat piece of styrene right on the back side, and then glued the bumper in place and held the bumper on there. The tailgate on this, it was actually supposed to, be able to move, but because after gluing everything in place, the tailgate didn't actually drop down. So I don't have a functional tailgate. But then again, this was my first time ever really doing this. After I did that, it was painted the body, painted it green. And it's kind of like a hunter green. And this was just done with an automotive hunter green right over the top of the plastic, and everything worked really good. Building the interior was a little bit more difficult. So if you look underneath here, you can see it's kind of notched out. And the reason why is because of this Furatech motor that I put in here. That Furatech motor, it's an outrunner, so it spins on the outside. And when it spins on the outside, the bottom piece of and it actually is concaved a little bit for the, the fake transmission that they have in there that you put in for, detail purposes, but it wasn't wide enough. So I had to cut the floorboard completely out, right at the edge of the seats. So the seats that set in there is the long as the floorboard goes. And then from there moves right out. I assembled the entire interior, before even putting it in. I painted it. I did a whole tan paint job, which you guys can kind of look through the windows and see. There is a steering wheel in there. But there is no floor for me to do the foot pegs or anything. And that's just because of the motors in place. Got all of that in there. I detailed the interior door panels, the seat, and really I did that just with a paintbrush and some paint. Got in there, did all of that up, glued the steering wheel in place right there on the bottom, which is right here. So it's just glued into the little notch that's there. Did all of that, glued the windows in. Once the window pieces were glued in, then I slid the interior into it, got that glued up in there. And pretty much I was on my home stretch. The only thing else I needed to do was mount all my chrome on the front. And there's these little chain pieces on the back, which are blacked. Got those in, the doors and the mirrors. I even put the rear view mirror in there, if you guys can see. I got the rear view mirror put in, which was not the easiest thing for me to do because I did not think about that ahead of time and wasn't able to do it. And I had to, being the windows are open on the sides, I had to do it with a pair of tweezers and get it up held in there. So, but we got it in there. And then coated the whole bottom in black to kind of hide, because this all came, I think it was white. Yeah, it was all white. So it came all white, coated it in black, and did that with a regular acrylic paint. And then it was figuring out the body mounts. So what I started with is I took some styrene and I cut it. I think these are about, I want to say 2/3 of an inch long plate, and I double stacked them because of how thin this 060 is. You could probably get away with using a thicker styrene, but I did that and I glued it right across the back here, and then up on the front I had to raise it up a little bit. And the reason why I had to raise this up is because of the battery. And if I show you guys, a battery from earlier today right here. And that's where the battery goes, is it slides right in like that. Slides right in, and then I connect the battery up around here. So I had to raise it up in order to accommodate this battery, and I have a little bit thicker battery, lasts a little bit longer, and that's why there's some extra room in there. And the battery just slides in there, and with the body on it, the battery doesn't move around at all. This thing isn't going very fast. It's a crawler. So that's kind of what I did, is got that all put into place. And then it was kind of making the magnet side. So I cut another two pieces of this styrene in the same dimensions as this. And then I used magnets, which are right here. And these, you can get them on eBay. You can also get them on Amazon. And I think I got these on Amazon, but they come in I think I have 100 of them. But they're just little tiny magnets. And I basically took and glued a magnet on each side down here. So there's 2 in the front, 2 in the rear. Got those glued into place, and then stuck another magnet on top of it. And then I glued the plate, which is glued up into here. And I glued the plate on top of that. Now, you would see the magnets on the side, and that's where I did this little wall up on the sides there. But I got them glued onto here, and then I had to make sure that the body was going to set level. And in order to do that, use more styrene to create additional sheets to figure out how I needed to get it to where when it sat on the crawler, the body looked straight and level. And so with this one, I think I ended up having to use 12 sheets of the styrene to get up here. And on the back, I only had to use 4. So that's all glued into there, and then glued the body on to those magnets. And then when you look underneath and on the side, we wanted to make sure we weren't going to see the magnets. You can see right here. And so that right there, that's what I wanted to do, was to hide that. And so I cut really thin pieces, thin strips of styrene, and kind of built up a wall around on the sides and in the front here. Got it all built up to where it was going to cover those magnets and the magnets that are protruding down from the shell. And that was just gluing on a row, seeing how much room I got by putting the shell back on, and seeing, okay, it looks like I can fit a couple of more. Got all the way down to where I needed it, and it covered up. And then I basically sanded everything down to get it all looking smooth and pretty. And I ended up with this. Now I could put the bigger tires on it. You know, I could put some bigger tires on it, make it look like a monster truck size, or I can leave these on. But I really wanted to test out these tires. I'm not running any kind of special foam in these like I've used in the past. I've used the anti-foams from Flub RC, which is in my creep rig right here, the Mofo build, which these have that anti-foams in it, which are 3D printed foams, which is not really a foam, it's a plastic. And they kind of look like this. You know, they kind of look like this, but they're green and they're purple. And that's what's in there, and it gives kind of the feel and the sidewall protection that you need. So I'm going to try running them with these, no foams in them, or anti-foams in them. And I'm running the stock foams that come with the tires. And we'll give this bad boy a run. Now, for the bed, let's get that moved out of the way. Last thing we're going to talk about is how I did this bed right here. So what I did is I started off with a light tan acrylic paint and painted the whole thing, because it was white, painted it this tan. And then I just started using layering. So I put in some brown, I put in some darker tan, almost like a sand color, and just kind of started layering it, and then got some brush marks all over the place of brown, and then threw in some darker tan. And then I mixed up at the end, after I did that striping, I mixed up some of this darker brown, and I kind of mixed it a little bit with water and made kind of like a water white, or like wash, and then coated everything in that brown, and it pretty much turned out looking like this, to where it kind of looks like wood. I got kind of the idea from one of Scale Builders Guild's. He was doing the patina thing, and he was also doing he actually took which I have one up here. I just don't have the wooden rails, but on the TRX4M, the trailer, they make little wooden rails to go on here, and he did this whole thing on how to make it look kind of like real wood. And he did a whole video about that. Being that this was my first time doing this, I didn't really catch any footage on it, because it turned out looking the way it did. And I was like, that's awesome. It turned out like I wanted it, and sealed the deal and moved forward with it. I'm not the greatest at painting. You know, I really love the, you know, working on these little small guys. They're fun to work on, and then you can drive them all over the house. And that's pretty much what I got built. I'm going to do a run video here in the, this weekend on it, so you guys will, I'll get that put up, and you guys will be able to see that, and we will go from there. Not really seeing too much going on in the chat. I see that Nitro said the video looked good on his side. Let's see here. How long have we been going? Not too much. But yeah, I mean, pretty much covered most of that in, you know, about 26 minutes. If anybody's got any questions, you know, feel free to jump in and let me know. And like I said, I just wanted to do a quick little video on this bad boy, the first one. I got a lot more work put into my other two and how I got that one done. So I'm going to do actual videos about that, and then we'll move forward and get those posted, and we'll go from there. You know, I know the SCX24's aren't for everybody. I know I love them. Actually, I love all of my RCs, and you can see them back here. Still in the process of getting my studio done up. I'm going to get some LED lighting to put around the cars back in the back so they will kind of glow. And we'll go from there. Let's see. All right. Well, gonna keep this rolling until I hit about the 30-minute mark, and then we'll get off. And then I know we got some other live streams coming. Don't forget to check out Pokerossi. He's coming up here shortly, about an hour, and I will let me see if I can get his link and drop it in here for you guys. And his link is right here. This out of the way. All right, so there is Pokerossi's channel, and also Nitro Freak. Being that he was in this live stream, we will go ahead and make sure that I drop his link in there for anybody that is interested in that. All right, yeah. So if you're watching this video, you know, after I'm done going live, please go check out those two, Pokerossi and Nitro Freak. They've got great channels. Nitro Freak is huge in the 5th scale RCs, and he does a lot of the gas stuff, and he has some nitro stuff, and he's doing some videos here soon on some of the stuff he's doing. He also does a lot for small YouTube channels like me. So definitely check him out. And Pokerossi is just a huge supporter of small YouTube channels, and he loves jumping in there and talking to everybody and participating in the channels. So definitely check them out. There are a bunch more. If you guys catch this in the next hour or so, you'll find me and a bunch of others like Nitro Freak over in Pokerossi's live stream, his Thursday night live stream. So if you guys got any questions about what I've done with mounting this body and something I might have missed, don't forget to jump on and comment on it. And you can also find me on YouTube in the abouts, my email address, which is stitch@skhobbies.com. You can also find me on YouTube or Facebook, Stitch SK Hobbies. And then you also find me on Instagram, and you can find me there too. So other than that, I think I am done. I got everything I needed to talk about this first build. Don't forget to like and subscribe and bash that bell. That way you get notified any more videos or lives that are coming up. I'm going to probably try to do 1 or 2 lives a week. And it's going to be kind of scheduled around the other channels that I'm following in their lives. So there might be some oddball times, but we're going to make it work, and we'll go from there. So thank you for watching. I'm Stitch, SK Hobbies AZ, and I'm out.